Hey everyone, I hope you all are doing good and having a wonderful day. In this video, I'm going to talk about how you can escalate cross-site scripting vulnerability to something very critical. So from basic cross-site scripting vulnerability from where you can like steal token and all those things, I'm going to show you that how in some applications you can escalate it further to maybe go as far as reading internal files of the server, right? But as always, before diving deep into this video, if you haven't checked out my previous video in which I have talked about how you can use LM Studio along with local AI model to automate pen testing, then go ahead and check it out. The link is given in the description as well as you can see it at the right side of the screen. And now, with that being said, let us get started. Okay, so this is a small lab that I have created, which is replicating the exact same scenario where you can find this kind of vulnerability. Okay. Also, very important thing to note here is that this video is not about escalating all the cross-site scripting that you're going to find into something very critical at the server side. Okay, it depends on application, so this is very important to understand. It depends on application and how the application is configured. If the application is configured in a similar way which I'm going to show you over here, then the chances are quite high that you can escalate a cross-site scripting to something very critical. Okay, now with all these being aside, let's try to go to dashboard. Okay, and let's try to first identify a cross-site scripting vulnerability. Okay, so we'll go to edit profiles, and here we'll attempt to find a cross-site scripting in all of these parameters. So I'm going to start with display name. Okay, we'll just put any random value here, and you can see here the value is getting reflected as ASDASTA, right? Which simply means that whatever we are typing here is getting reflected. Now obviously the first thing that I like to do is I'm going to type the payload. imgsrs equals to x on error equals to alert 1, right? And as you can see, the payload is getting executed successfully. Okay, and here is the payload getting rendered, right? So we already have identified a cross-site scripting vulnerability. If you go ahead and click on save changes, and if you go back to profile, always we'll see that the payload is going to be executed, confirming the existence of a cross-site scripting vulnerability, right? Now this alone, since it is a stored XSS, this alone can be a high severity vulnerability if you can impact other users as well. But in this case, since it is reflecting at our own account only, this can be considered as a self cross-site scripting vulnerability. Okay, now in order to escalate this is very important, and these kind of functionalities can be very common in Ruby on Rails application. Okay, where you have the features to export your web page or your page as a PDF file. Okay, that's very important. Okay, so for example, even though you cannot see that there is this export button, okay, anywhere to export the page, in order to verify whether your value is getting or we are allowed to export the file into PDF, what we can do is simply remove this completely from here. Let me just save everything up. Okay, and then we'll try to append .pdf at the end of this particular URL. Okay, let's hit enter. We'll be waiting for a few seconds, and as you can see, the page has been successfully exported as a PDF file. And in many real application, and even in the most of the Ruby on Rails application that I have seen, whenever they have some template designs of how you can export the document to PDF, to HTML, or to CSV, this kind of vulnerability is very common. So you need to check whether the input that you're giving can be exported as a PDF or not. If this is exported, then you have a high chance to achieve something critical. Okay, now once we have that, what we can do is we can simply go ahead and to verify whether the input that we are giving is getting rendered into the PDF or not, we're going to try something like this: HTML h1 test, a simple harmless HTML injection. We are going to click on save, and we'll try to export it to PDF again, append.pdf. And as you can see, this is getting rendered as it is as well, which means that there is no input sanitization in exporting of user details as PDF file. Okay, now once we have all of this confirmed, what we can do is we can use completely remove the use of JavaScript, and we're going to use iframe tag. Okay, so you can go ahead and type iframe, then source. Okay, and then we are going to use the file protocol because we want to fetch the file, and then we'll go etc password, arrange the height and width, and we'll leave it as it is. Okay, observe that it is not getting rendered over here. We are not able to see the contents because it is getting displayed at the front side, right? But once you're going to click on save changes, okay, even right now you cannot see it, but the moment we'll try to export this particular file as PDF, something very interesting happens. So let's go ahead and type profile.pdf, and if we scroll down, we can clearly see that the tag was rendered successfully, and when we type file etc/password at the server, what happened is that it fetched the file and then saved it and displayed the PDF back to us. Okay, so this is actually how you can escalate. You see how easy it was and escalate a normal cross-site scripting or input sanitization issue to a direct internal file read vulnerability, right? This is how you can find these kind of vulnerabilities. So whenever you have an application where you're allowed to export something as PDF, you can go ahead and try to use this kind of HTML tags. Okay, now how I was able to append or to understand that okay, we can append a .pdf file in real world scenarios, because this happened in real world web application as well, obviously, right? So in real world examples, and especially I think Ruby on Rails applications are very much vulnerable to it. So whenever you are testing an application, always try to first for different extension and see how the application is behaving. Like in my case, I tried profile.html, profile.csv, profile.pdf, and all sort of things. Okay, and then I got to know that whenever you're typing any extension, it is getting displayed in that particular format. And obviously I'm going to attach a link of a Medium article from which this particular video was inspired as well, from where you can have a more detailed look into how this will be appearing in a real world scenario. But this is exactly what you need to do in order to find this kind of vulnerability. Yeah, this is it from my end. If you guys have any doubts, if you guys have any issues, feel free to let me know your doubts or issues in the comment section. And now, with that being said, keep learning, keep hacking, and thank you so much for watching this video.